Wouldn't be prudent if I didn't start out at a fan. Hi, welcome to today's episode, I guess episode 1. The first thing was really just an introduction. This now is going to be the full-fledged first episode that I'm going to try. It may not work. Again, as all things, use that as energy. If that's the energy that we're up against, we have a question. Do we want to face that energy, overcome it? Do we want to allow it to battle with us for a little while? Which there could be some value in that, learning, opportunities, experience. Do we separate? Does it collide? How do those energies meet? That's kind of the focus that I want to talk about today. Another very important thing to focus on is safety. I was thinking about this last night, just about the main entrance of the building. Say we're taking that bit. Oh, let me catch you up to speed. Welcome to JELLYFISH, Autistic Development Resource Center. JELLYFISH, the podcast. I'm calling this a podcast, even though they're video format. Hopefully it's the audible also that constitutes the podcast aspect. Honestly, what it was is I just had this idea, and I've had it for several years now. I just haven't done anything with it. And I do this weird thing with time where I'll sit on something for a while, and I'll think about it from every angle. And I'll think about it upside down, right side up, from the left, from the right. If we split it in half and divide it by 8, how does it look like then? And then what about the people that are outside of that are impacted by it? How are they affected by this? Positively? Negatively? I'm an overthinker. I'm an INFJT personality. Please check it out. INFJTs are a rare personality, and it helped when I understood that about myself to just be aware of things and how I fit into a community, because that's a large part of that understanding, where you fit into the community, how you want to put yourself in there. I think of it as double dutch. You know, the kids that do the double dutch and then they just hop right in like seamlessly. Well, when I'm sitting on an idea like that, it feels like I'm at the hopscotch game. Like everybody's there, we're taking turns, and they're waiting on me. And I keep going up, and I'm like, okay, I'll put a foot in. No, I'll practice and do it again. Delayed, failure to launch, I guess, or whatever. That failing to launch can have many different aspects, and it's how you use that failure to launch. If you just say that, see, I've got to be conscious about negative words with negative connotation. So failure to launch, that has that negative. How about a different approach, an alternative method, maybe? I don't know, you see what I'm saying. That, I hope, would change culture. The words that we use, the way we communicate, that changes culture. And culture really is difficult to establish and change without a clear vision. So having that vision, communicating that vision, getting buy-in from the people that are involved with that vision, that is valuable. Because then we can all work towards it together. And again, remember what we talked about last time, that heart, that feeling. If you are personally invested. I talked to a friend earlier, and he was upset about the people at his workplace don't care. And hourly wages, industrial places, there's a high turnover rate. People don't have a lot of buy-in at a place like that, unless maybe they're at the top or they've been there for a while. But you don't see the buy-in. Maybe those that have been there more senior for many years, they may have more of a buy-in. But when you're not personally, when you're just clocking in and clocking out and going to work, you lose that integrity that comes with, I'm here for a reason. I'm serving a purpose, and I am here to help. Being clear about that is important. We've all been in work environments with people that don't want to work. They just want to chat and hang out and chill. And I've been guilty of that myself. It's a contagious environment sometimes. But is that regional? Is that nationwide? Is it cultural? I have heard of cultures, even within our own United States, that there's differences that vary when it comes to priorities for work. Some people, it seems, prioritize time as the thing of value. Some prioritize the money. So it just depends. And there's tons of other priorities. But when we're aligning together and working somewhere, and we're willing to give like 40 hours a week to get full-time pay, benefits, things that we need in life, do you want to do it because you enjoy it, you care about the place, or are you really just doing it because you need a paycheck? Again, that brings that very first question. Why are you doing this? What's your purpose? Is it personally connected to you? And that's a journey I think we've all been on at times. Where does this align with my personal journey? And how can I contribute to it? I'll share something with you about me personally. I had ulcerative colitis, UC, from the time that I was 8 until I had the big surgery to have a J pouch. And that was a big deal, and it affected me really, really badly. It was difficult. And when I would go to the hospital there, I always remember the vibe of the place. And the vibe was, we're here to help and protect and to save you. I was fortunate that I had that experience. It was Birmingham Children's Hospital, and they were fabulous. This was like in 1994. Had to have all kind of procedures done on my body. And man, that was tough. And looking back, I've learned through therapy, that was a very traumatic experience for you to go through as a child. And what happens is your personality is developing at that time, so it has a big impact on it. Now, they gave me a good experience, positive experience, and I'm healthy today because of that. And I appreciate everybody there, especially my surgeon. Man, he was a good doctor. Oh, he still is, if I can think of his name. He's the best doctor. Isn't that ironic? The most amazing doctor you've ever heard of, and can't remember his name. It'll hit me. Ricardo Figueroa was his name, and he was from Cuba, and he was a proud, loud Cuban. And what he meant to me in my life was this big, charismatic, loving person who helped me, healed me, as best he could at the time. He gave me all the best medications. I had to take tons of steroids, prednisone, got huge cheeks. It was awful. I hated it. Had to drink tons of medicine. You had to drink 3 liters of medicine before you could have like a colonoscopy, along with the little, kind of like a Sprite drink. It was disgusting. And drinking the pink fluid going in to getting scanned. It was not good. And there was constant trips to the hospital. My mother and father was constantly having to take me to the hospital in Birmingham. And we lived in Huntsville, and this was the 90s. There was no GPS, no cell phones or anything. And my mom was so brave for doing that, and I commend her, and I appreciate and thank her for doing that for me, because she did a lot of it. She really did. But I remember that being a good experience with Dr. Figueroa. One that I liked and I looked forward to. Regardless of what was going on with my stomach and my health, I didn't feel good, so I was like a zombie a lot of times to a lot of people. But he kept a picture that I gave him of me and some tomatoes in his big medical book. And every time that I would come in for an appointment, he would open it up and let me look at it. He made me feel special. And he knew that I was aware that I was one of like hundreds of kids that he saw. And what was important to me, and this was so weird, is I wanted to feel seen as a child. I wanted him to recognize me. I guess I had a big ego or something maybe as a kid. I don't know, but that was part of who I was, and I wanted him to see me. You know, maybe just when you're a kid, you want attention. And I wanted it from him. I thought he was so cool because he was a doctor, he was smart. And also I remember misunderstanding things as a kid a lot. Like they came in and were talking about my digestive tissues and my colon. And as a kid, when I heard that, I thought, well, why can't we just change toilet paper if it's a tissue problem? And they laughed, and I was sitting there like this, like, okay, but it's tissue. They thought I knew it was a joke. I didn't know it was. I thought it was literal tissue. That's how easy it is to misunderstand things when you're a kid. So another effort towards this business goal is clarity in our communication with all things that we do. and that is standard across the board. It goes back to that heart. What do you care about? Who are you as a person? Are your values, do they align with what we're looking at here? And the coolest part about a new age kind of company like this, one, look at the structure of Casper Mattress when it comes to leave time, how people can take vacation. I think it's like an unlimited vacation time. If you need time off, you request it and your team will work around it. And I believe in that, because if you're going to live somewhere and work in that community, you have seniority, you have a regular relationship rapport you've built with your clientele, or, well, yeah, your clientele who lean on you for your service, but also the people that you work with. You're a work family. That's an important thing. It's a family. You've got to rely on each other. If there's a life event or something going on with you that you're comfortable enough sharing, hey, I need time off for this. You don't even have to explain what it is. Just ask how that's going to impact the other people you work with. Give it under consideration and try to approve it. I'm not a deny person. I'm a yesy person. And that can get me in trouble sometimes because, yes, you do need to be conservative about things. And I am when it comes to fiscal matters and stuff like that. But when it comes to creativity, I don't want to be closed-minded at all. I don't want to be myopic. I want to be largely open-minded so that I can share my ideas flowing through me freely, and we can get your ideas about how you would run a business. Any business, for that matter, but especially something like this if it's applicable to you and your situation. Security was one thing I really wanted to bring up. Thinking about the entrance of the place. When you walk in, what's it going to look like? Well, you obviously don't want it to look like a prison. You want it to feel safe, but also kid-friendly. And a place that moms, like my demographic is kind of moms with kids in school age. That's just my kind of target audience that I've worked with so much for the past many years. And I fell in love with them, being able to just work with them because I saw their heart. And I loved that. Not just moms and dads, but a lot of moms, because there were several that were stay at home and they were working with their students. And I had the opportunity and the pleasure a lot of times to build relationships with these families. That was something that came with the element of time, building relationships. These families have siblings a lot of time, a couple years between each, and then they're ready for new services that you offer. And that's what I learned with my past job, and it's such a valuable learning experience. Time, consistency, and being a good person aligns together to form fruition in life. So even from the onset of the start, when something's brand new, you know what that feels like when you're brand new at a job and nobody knows you and you're trying to get your footing and you're wanting people to know who you are and try to share yourself with them. Or if you feel comfortable doing that, some people may not, and that's okay too. But in this environment, you kind of got to get along in some capacity. Respect. That's what it boils down to. Courtesy, honesty, and respect. I learned those three values from restaurant Logan's Roadhouse. When I was in college, I was bartender, server, everything. I opened the store in Athens, Alabama, and I loved it. Me and my best friend Shelby did. We had a great time with it. It was a lot of fun. And I learned a lot through that too. But at the time, I was suffering so bad from mental health issues because I was down on myself for being at the position in life that I was in. I didn't feel like my goals were getting accomplished enough. It had nothing to do with an identity that I felt true to. It was conflict because I was doing things that I didn't feel aligned with who I was. And it was contributing to a lot of my mental health issues. And I was seeking therapy through this time too. And I learned what works and what doesn't work for therapy for me. That helped a lot. But at the time, the values were courtesy, honesty, and respect. So I said that a lot to everybody. They'd probably say yeehaw for me saying it because it's a good thing. Logan's launch sponsor. But anyway, corporate thing, the corporate mindset. Oh, and Logan's catering is delicious. This episode brought to you not by Logan, so don't legally misunderstand or misconstrue me. Just a fan and just love it. Those warm, buttery yeast rolls baked to perfection. Golden brown, crispy deliciousness. Served with a side cup of cinnamon butter. Sprinkle that fairy dust of heaven on your fluffy yeast rolls today. Then order yourself a mesquite grilled chicken served on a bed of rice pilaf. Complementary two sides, such as a loaded baked potato and a house or a Caesar side salad. Peppercorn ranch, house-made peppercorn ranch is what I would recommend. But that's just me. That's me. Now, did you want a few little roadies to take home? Throw a few pork sliders in the fact, maybe a dozen biscuits. When people would sit down at my table, I loved it because something about psychology I really enjoy, and I love sociology. So those two things together, boy, I had a heyday. Being alive, again, this moment. And when I would go in at 4 o'clock on a Friday, I would get so mad. I wanted to be in a life of stability in a career I had that I could go home and just relax on a Friday evening. But no, Heathy Poo here pulled on the Logan's t-shirt, slapped on those disgusting jeans and black skid-proof shoes, belted it, slapped my scan card probably for my squirrel, and I hit the road, little roadie. And if you had a birthday, I was your man, because I was drum major, so I was really loud and say, "Yeehaw, attention Logans, we got a birthday," and I loved it. That was genuine, like my personality in that setting, and I loved it because I'm a big, like, push, like, think of Sagittarius, how they're big and grand and more and like the, adventure, big, grandiose. Well, I'm kind of like that because my birthday being on Halloween like it is, Scorpio, but at the later end of Scorpio, so I got a lot of Sagittarius in me, and when people would sit down at my table, I would sit down at the table with them if I saw that it was comfortable enough, if I evaluated that they were in that setting, and usually it's in the eyes, and I can determine where you're at, and if this is okay with you, or if you want me to respect your boundaries and just take your order and be done. We can do either or. So, but I had a lot of fun, especially with like the older grandmas and grandpas that would come in. They were fun. But I learned those values, and I bring those values with me everywhere, at every job that I've had. So that I would like to continue here and see if they would sponsor lunch. I'm just kidding. There is no, it is a business in the sense that I want it to be a business. It's not legally an entity yet, though. So when that time comes, maybe this will have gone viral enough to sponsor a lunch. One lunch, that's all I'm asking. A lunch for a team of 20. How about that? Ooh. But I'm thinking about collaboration ideas. So if we did have a lunch sponsored by whoever, and if that's offensive to Logan's, I don't want to be offensive. I'm just trying to share. It's delicious food. It's really good. Collaboration with them. They may have a donation arm of their business, like a foundation that could go for things like this. They may not, but other companies do. So that's why this one I think would be viable to try. But anyway, security, safety, getting through the door. It's almost like I can't even get through the door of that subject because I'm so sidetracked because, again, so, getting through the door, the safety. You don't want it to look like a prison, so having beautiful, clear glass in case, not even like the barrier, when you walk in, thinking of a big remodeled Toys R Us size building, when you're remodeling it, that first entry point, there needs to be options for things, returning customers, scan badge, something like that, safety devices, a big, clear, thick, huge safety glass wall that, you learn about certain access, and then you grant access based on who has gotten their membership or payment or however the transaction works, to have access to the STIM station. Oh, would you like to go play it in the STIM station for 30 to 45 minutes while, Michelle, your therapist, finishes up her lunch and then she'll meet with you? Or she's with a client right now, but if you want to play in the STIM station, hang out for an hour or so. Now, it is going to require that the parent stay with the student. And I think that's important. I think the parent needs to stay there. Now, these, again, are all flexible. This is just my idea and my proposal. And I'm explaining the reasons why, and I would love to hear your input on it. If the parent stays, that emergency contact is there, and safety is the most important thing. So having them stay, they need to dedicate to be there too. preferably in the setting with it. So like the mom housing area being in once you get past the security clearance. But it still have an open vibe, a vibe and a feeling of openness, positive, really cool electronic music playing. And again, from research psychologists who work with music therapy to create an environment, an ambiance of soothing, calming. I think that would be great. But the security, so my friend Hunter does security, and I want to talk to him, and he does it for schools, and is really good at it, and they have a lot of good business. So I want to talk to him about how he would fortify this campus. Jellyfish HSV, how would we fortify it? If you could start from scratch, I ask this question a lot. Well, two questions. What's your inspiration? And I don't know what I was trying to do. I was trying to make a point and it didn't work. What's your inspiration? One question. Number two, what sets yours apart? How is yours different? Those are two very important questions I like to ask. And I want to hear lots of different opinions on it, because we can make better decisions when we know all the options and when we're clear and transparent. And you're looking at a balance of keeping kids safe without intruding on their privacy or personal space too much, but still monitoring them. That's another reason why it's important to have the parents there, and a place for the parents to post up and chill, enjoy, hang out. Have private areas for parents too. Think of pods. In Asian cultures, I've seen these pods you can rent either for sleeping or chilling. What if you had pods for parents? That they could come in and just post up in the pod, relax, and they're notified based on a band or either their phone or something like that about their kid if it's time to leave or things like that. They check in with them. Maybe a necklace if the kids press a button and their mom immediately, there's an emergency or it's time to go thing. That's how they can communicate. You're putting a little bit of responsibility in that kid's hands. You're saying, all right, you've got this beautiful big place we've paid for you to come and get therapy and to play and have a good time. I'm going to hold you responsible for making sure that when I call you on your bracelet, you respond. And if not, we need to have a lot of security guards, not security guards in the sense of gun toting like that. I'm talking like security monitors, people who are CPR certified and trained in handling emergency situations. And that can be on a minimal level. We even have a high school program for EMT students, something like that. Once they've graduated, maybe they've got a year or two experience under their belt, come back and serve as a security guard, build up. And let's just say there is somebody like that. If you put them in a position like this, it can be considered a starter job. But what if we gave them a little more ownership of it on their own and said, hey, you're good at organizing these emergency situations. How about you help us develop a safety plan for the organization based on how we're laid out, what the entry and access points are. That's safety, security, health, important, serious. Team, bringing them on as a team. That's a lot of people. Doesn't have to be a ton to start with, but a few essential people, and that's definitely one of them because security is utmost importance. But talking to him about how would you lay this out if you had an ideal format? That was actually the other question. How would you do this if you could do it all over again? How could you do this if you had the resources, the money, and this? Because it's, you know what it is? It's dreaming. Will you go on a dream with me? Are you willing to take a risk? I probably look better with my hands around my face. Looks more dramatic. Are you ready to dream and dream big? Are you ready to let your creativity flow like a waterfall or Niagara Falls at Christmas when it's icy and it slows down those ideas just a little bit? Because if so, and if this is something and you're serious about it and this is something you enjoy or like doing and could contribute to it, let's talk. Because right now, to me, and I'm a boundaries person, there's boundaries in knowing that it's just an idea right now. It's just an idea. Nothing's in stone. You'll know from my expression when it's in stone because I change. There's a seriousness to me. And right now, the fact that I'm wearing just pullovers, in front of the camera and it's relaxed, it's in my closet, I'm trying to convey a chill vibe about coming across and sharing this idea, because I know that I can be a lot. I know that taking in this much information in this setting, like just straight video with no real good editing or anything, that can be a lot to take in. But if you're willing to go there, and if this sparks your interest, think of the creativity that you could contribute to in something like this. I would like to see eventually it develop to a community, not a cult, a community, very specifically not. That's a whole nother tangent, but do check out A Little Bit Culty, the podcast on Citizens of Sound, hosted by Sarah and Nippy. It's really good and very important to not be a cult and to be held accountable by people like that and talk to them and say, hey, look, yeah, we might be a cool community, and this is where the boundary exists, that we're not a cult. I've always wanted to be the leader of a community. Did not know how to start it because I didn't know my place. I didn't know my place as an adult in the world as well as I do now. I had a misconception, but now I'm pretty sure I know where I want to fit. I know where I want to jump into that double dutch that's going on. And if you're willing to go along on this ride with me, if not for entertainment purposes alone, I implore you. Because right now it's just a business idea. And ideas are like babies. They are small and puke on you. And you need to change them a lot. And every single one of those things probably are true about a business. I bet if you ask any business owner, they'll tell you, oh yeah, I had this one idea about how it would go and my misconception was blank. But we learned blank and now we got it together, or we're doing blah, 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 That is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, learning through the interview. You can prepare for stuff all day. You can have the safeguards of a kingdom in place. But you cannot account for random stuff in life happening, and that's what life is. I've learned that. It's curveball city. It's constant change. And for somebody like me that doesn't like change, I gravitate to the things that I can grasp onto that are constants or consistent in life. And if I can start contributing toward an effort to where that's the case, and lead it, that's a different story. Leading it is a different story. I would love to, even if in just imagination, but one day it will come about. One day it will. So my posture changed just then, because I would love to be taken seriously when it comes to this business idea. And I believe I have a good enough reputation, maybe a positive, favorable opinion. I really don't know what people perceive of the idea yet. I hope what I can convey is a sincerity, an honesty, and a genuine approach to it about saying, I know that I'm not an expert in a lot of those fields, but I have an interest to pull experts together so that we can have community. And that's what I'm talking about. Building a community to where maybe one day we have a bakery that serves lunch. I was at a kids museum in Chattanooga recently with my nephew. We were playing and they had like this bakery thing there that they served lunch. It was kind of cool. But I thought, how could we make that better? How could we make it really good? Employ people that have been part of that community to serve for life skills of communication, accounting, business, finance, paperwork, responsibilities of jobs, showing up and doing a job and getting paid for it, and having a respectable part of the community, being a part of that, having your community be a bigger and more respected part of the larger community to receive that respect of which they deserve, because everybody deserves that respect. To feel like you've contributed to something, and you don't really even have to be in a community to feel that way. In that sense, I guess, physically you don't have to be there. You could connect virtually, just like a lot of people have. I think there's more value for me in being in it to be there in person and to pull those that are connected around to me right now so that maybe it will create a groundswell. Maybe we can build this project and have city input, have people weigh in on what they think about it, and then put it out there and make it something special. And, we talk about the accountability thing. Transparency is hugely important. Transparency. Being very open and honest about the things that should be shared, that's appropriate to share, and be clear about it. And try your best. Try your best. If your best is not good enough for what the field's calling for, then okay, can you change? Do you have the desire to change? Is there benefit for you to change? Do you need to go a different direction? I mean, there's many different ways to approach it, but before taking any steps forward, think about them. Don't overthink them, obviously, like I have, but do give it consideration, serious consideration. I think this would be a really great idea. I think it would be great for the autistic and neurodivergent community, especially kids at that age. See, did I drop the summer camp bomb earlier? Summer camps. Having focused summer camps from the months of June and July, each week or every other week, however we want to set it up, to serve specific demographics of the community. Give them a resource that they can have kids come with an intentional goal at the camp. Respect their health, mental health, all aspects of what makes them a human. Respect that, but put in place some fun things to do and to learn about. Life skills building too. That's important. Have parents be able to stay if they want, but have them be able to go because it is a summer camp. We should be able to house, more staff if needed and collect that. Have people from the community that are autistic come out as adults and say, look, here's what I'm doing, regardless of whatever diagnosis you may have or whatever struggles you're dealing with. You're thriving because you're a human being and you deserve to thrive. We all deserve to thrive. That's a lesson I need to start learning, and I'm showing you this because that's what's firing off in me right now. You ever kind of sometimes might regret not allowing yourself to go into where your heart's calling you, and then you look back and you go, was that a waste? No, it wasn't. It may feel that way, but it's not going to be a waste for me because I'm going to use that as lessons to propel me forward, because that's how we grow and that's how we learn, and that's just kind of how the world works, at least in my experience. It takes me a long time to learn things sometimes, though. I have to really understand it fully from every angle before I go forward. So instead of beating myself up and saying, well, why didn't I do this 20 years ago when I should have? I wasn't ready at that time. A 20-year-old guy trying to lead a thing like that, I wasn't ready. I can't speak to the world, but I wasn't. I needed life skills. I needed to grow and to develop and to experience life and to know what routine felt like. I needed to learn those life lessons. And because I've learned them, now I want to share them with kids who might need those and do it in a fun, disarming way that doesn't make kids fear going to therapy, just like my buddy did today. He was looking forward to it, and I congratulated him. That's awesome. Great that you're looking forward to it. I want to do the same thing. I just want to have this really cool, fun, beautiful, clean, high-end looking, but accessible to everybody. I just think it's fun to be up there where you could, make a difference in a lot of kids' lives. And having money is what it takes a lot of times. That'll be a whole nother concept of the business, the financial world. What investments worked? And here's the thing. Even though I mentioned the nonprofit, the foundation, what I'm really saying is I want to talk to other people who have had that in their business and ask the questions that might be a little bit uncomfortable without revealing any kind of personal information. What do you wish you would have known beforehand? What did you think was going to happen? What was the misconception? Specifically when it comes to the terms of abiding by financial rules, goals, and guidelines, for making, you have a good idea, you want to raise money for charity, whatever, 504c structure, great. What's the financial side of that look like? Who does it benefit, basically? Who does it benefit, and what do you choose to do? How do we steer those funds? There's power in a transparency, and you may be able to continue being that way throughout your whole career. I bet you there are. What I mean by that is good people. Sorry, oh crap, I'm really new to videos and didn't realize I just picked my nose right there in front of camera, and I'm sorry. I guess that's kind of just like the kid in me. Giving my message in this medium was a way for me to be genuine and to try not to be pretentious, although I'd love to be. Oh, that'd be fun. I'm just not. That's not who I am. The driving factor in this is not money. That's not the driving factor. That would be great. I don't know who wouldn't say yes. If you could make more money for yourself and you could make more money for the people around you, you could build a community and do something good, you wouldn't? Why wouldn't you if you had the ability to? If God has given you this body, your ability, your voice, your personality, who you are today, whether it's perfect yet or not, as most of us are not, and that's a good thing. What makes us different, weird, strange, as long as you're not hurting anybody or disrespecting anybody, who cares? Celebrate that. Bring that difference to the table, because I can learn something from somebody that's different, because I need to hear your perspective, because who you are as a different person than me is probably reflective of a lot of our students in our demographic and our customer family base. And we want to make them feel just as included as everybody should at any time. Anytime. When you're paying for some sort of a service, when that person comes in the door, thank you for coming in. I've said this many times to my students, it's because of you that I have a job. And that's how I want to approach this. It's because of you that we will be employed and have a job in this sector if we pursue it as a real legitimate business. And I would like to do that. I'm ready, and I'm really looking forward to that opportunity. You remember how I talked about on that first episode, going into business person mode, manila envelopes. I used to call them vanilla envelopes. Manila envelopes, real serious business. Closing deals with high-level executive, administrative, very high-level administrators. And that is business. And that's the people that you have to accommodate to sometimes. There may be some people in your world that are different in the way they carry themselves, in their manner of professionalism. You have to adapt. And then we're bridging a gap between a lot younger generation that there may have totally different cultural norms than older generations, and being respectful of all those, bringing them to the table, creating that tension. Okay, Andy Warhol talked about this a lot. Creating a certain level of tension, or I think it was talked about in his work. I don't know if he said it. Sorry, don't quote me. I'm just trying to talk about an idea. About how creating creative conflict, you get some results from it. That's what I would like to do. And I used to do that sometimes socially with like friends. I'd bring people together from different walks of life, as I'm sure a lot of people have. And it's so interesting because you have a common thread of something, somebody you like or you know you love. Well, this business is the same way. It's a common thread of something you enjoy, that your child does good at or they've done something at. And they want to share that with their other family members and their friends because they are becoming an important part of the community. And I'm not talking about taking over their lives, because I want my space from the business too. Even as this owner, CEO, and founder, for a healthy life, you know, some people live their business, and that's really cool. He can't do that. I need a little bit of a separation, and I'm not ashamed to say it, quite frankly. I need my personal time, and I'm going to go nap in one of these parent pods. It's important to have a healthy balance between where you're working and your personal life. And I've always tried to do that and keep the boundary, you know, existing. Whether those communities, sub-communities start coming out after that, that's another story. But, you know, it's totally up to them. But in my mind, I'll still separate myself. And now that doesn't mean that I don't like or enjoy that time that we spend together. I do. But we might also have a very specific reason to spend that time together, or projects or things like that. But keeping that line clear helps to avoid confusion when it comes to HR issues and stuff like that too. With me as the CEO, most importantly. Because I want to establish as a leader, this is why I'm talking about I want to be a leader. I want to show people that you can maintain those good relationships, you can keep good tabs with people, maintain good communication, and respect their boundaries, and still have a good working relationship while keeping one thing in mind. We're here for who? The students, the kids. That's who we're here for. And when I say kids, I mean all demographics from 5 to 25 of ages and varying abilities. But I say kids not as an offensive term, but a term of I see a father role, a leader role in this position. Really, it's an uncle, not father. It's more of an uncle. I'm kind of more of just like the funkle that can be, playful and have fun and show you the fun things that you can do out of life and give me high fives when you come and go back home with your mom and dad whenever we're done, because I don't want to babysit, and I don't want this place to be a babysitting place either. I don't want to babysit. Now, there is an element of babysitting that you obviously have to do, and we'll have people, and, I'm happy to clean the bathrooms. I'll put it that way. I will clean the bathrooms all day, but it would be, I've thought about that a lot. It'd be an honor to be able to clean my own bathrooms in a business that I could say, this is ours. It'd be an honor. Now, I'm saying that before I'm scrubbing that off the walls and in areas I didn't know was humanly possible, probably. Hopefully not, but public bathrooms. But what I'm saying is just to know what good problems are versus bad problems. Some problems are good problems. Cleaning a dirty bathroom, if it's your own business, that's a good problem, because in my mind, I will have reached a milestone of owning a business and doing something good in the community that's more than just what I'm doing now. Although I love it, my hands are tied with, you can only go so far with some places with your responsibilities and your jobs. And I love my job that I do a lot. And if you see people that I, students that I've worked with in years past, they know that I enjoy it. I just truly do. I like seeing their potential come to life. But the favorite part about the job is putting those rocket boosters under their shoes. And by that, I mean building that confidence, reminding them of what they attempted, how they did good or succeeded, what they could have done differently to change things, and where are we going next? What's your next short-term goal, long-term goal? Where are you going to be in 5 years? What are you doing to enjoy the now? Do you feel like this is of value? Have you had a good experience? Are you comfortable sharing it? Do you want to keep it to yourself? It's up to the student and the family to decide what is most important when they're interacting and what they want to get out of this. So that's why I say that. I'm going to wrap this up. It's at 45 minutes. Going to keep them all. Try to be at around 45 minutes. Thanks for watching episode 1 of Jellyfish. Jellyfish, Autistic. There you go. I screwed it up already. Jellyfish, Autistic Development Resource Center. So I like to keep the bad stuff in there because it's real. So if the quality isn't good, maybe the message is, because I sure know this is not the best way to create videos. But eventually I'll get there. It'll be better. Better than this eventually. But if you've joined me along the ride for this long, I appreciate you being here. I hope that it works. And would love for you to jump right in there with me from my closet tears, because I'm still in this linen closet. Thanks.